We've had some tough news here at the agency. We had 2 employees pass away. In May, Travis Skotchewski passed away, and earlier this month we lost Al Williams, and I got to meet Al at the opening, and very proud that he was one of the longest term employees here. I think he was 29 years service to this great organization, and both Travis now beloved colleagues. Travis was known for his love of music, his brilliant writing abilities, and just a joyful presence. And Al, who worked for the agency for 29 years, had a great sense of humor. I mean, we got the opening, we got laughing. He was bragging about being the oldest employee or the longest term employee here, and it was just I don't know, just one of those great connections. I so appreciate that. Another thing we had in common, that he's an excellent cook. We both have his love of cooking. I forgot about that. And his love of spicy foods, and a secret recipe for pickled peppers, and that was next level. All right. So on behalf of the commission, I want to extend our condolences to the many friends Travis and Al had here at the agency, and to their families and friends, and we'll keep them in our memories and our hearts. So thank you. So now we'll open the meeting for the Thursday, June 18th, 2026 OLCC commission meeting. And would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Badgepike,
Yes.
Commissioner Chowry,
Here.
Commissioner Glenn. Here. Commissioner Hayes.
Here.
Commissioner Huffman,
Here.
Commissioner Melidas,
Here.
Commissioner Minty.
John?
He's not gonna make it.
Oh, she's not making it. She's excused.
Okay. And Commissioner Warren,
And she is not going to be here today, so she's excused.
Terry Gordon.
Here. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the May 21st, 26 commission meeting minutes.
Josh,
Yeah, Commissioner.
I moved to approve the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Take the roll, please.
Commissioner Badgepike,
Yes.
Commissioner Chowry.
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Huffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Melidas,
Yes.
Commissioner, or excuse me, Chair Gordon.
Here. And now we'll, going to have an overview of retail services. Is that Allison?
Approve.
Yeah. Allison, and, yes, we have Allison, Dave Owens, and Brian here.
Brian wasn't able to, Brian had to hit the coast.
Okay, all right.
He's not with us today, but
So who all have we got now?
we're ready?
Yeah.
All right. Just want to say good morning, Chair, Commissioners, Director Weziak. For the official record, I'm Allison Smith, Retail Services Assistant Director. And I'm pleased to be here today to highlight the contributions that the Retail Services team makes to both the OLCC and the state of Oregon. I'm excited to share that several people on the retail team are here today, and I'll invite them to introduce themselves before we
Thank you.
go to the next slide. Mindy, you want to start?
For the record, I am Mindy Jurek, Retail Services Office Coordinator.
Dave Owens, District Manager out of Medford, Southern Oregon region.
Hi there, I'm Monica Rorsheim. I'm in District 5, which is Portland Metro area.
And I'm James McKibidelsky. I have District 6. I'm based in Eugene, but I handle the Bend area as well as the coast.
Thank you.
All right. Next slide, please. To kick things off, you're all familiar with the OLCC's mission, and the Retail Services team works diligently to ensure our 286 liquor stores and 106 distillery retail outlets deliver high quality, responsible customer service and products to Oregonians and the hospitality industry. Oregon has a unique model, and our team has the privilege of supporting and helping grow small business across the state. Next slide, please. So Oregon's liquor stores are privately contracted businesses that sell distilled spirits on behalf of the state of Oregon. Operating as independent business owners, contracted liquor agents are financially responsible for inventory accountability, compliance, reporting, and maintaining proper sales records. While agents are responsible for their own business infrastructure, they are required to safeguard the state's assets. The district managers travel the state supporting the agents to uphold these responsibilities. Next slide, please. Besides the liquor store, the only other place you can legally buy distilled spirits in a factory sealed container is at a distillery retail outlet. Along with supporting our contracted liquor agents, Retail Services also supports contracted distillery agents at outlets across the state. Since the early 2000s, Oregon licensed distilleries have been able to apply for a DRO through Retail Services, giving them the privilege to sell their own spirits by the bottle. Under Oregon law, all proceeds from distilled spirit sales in these outlets belong to the state. Today, 106 of these outlets operate across 6 districts, selling directly to consumers and licensees, generating well over $12 million in revenue for the state in calendar year 2025. When a distillery requests a distillery retail agent agreement, a formal process begins requiring an application and supporting documents. The district manager then completes a site visit to verify application details. Once processed and approved by our team, the distillery receives an agreement outlining OLCC's expectations and the agent's responsibilities. All right, next slide, please, Laura. So you'll see a map of the state here. Showcases all the liquor stores in the state. Besides myself, there are 8 staff members on the Retail Services team. Highlighted here are 2 sometimes unsung heroes of our department, Mindy Jurek, our office coordinator, and Randy Howell, our team technician, who has been with the agency for almost 28 years. Randy's not here, but he is not physically here, but he's on the meeting with us today. So thank you, Randy. Mindy here has worked for several state agencies in Oregon, previously served as a senior police dispatcher in Alaska, bringing exceptional triage skills to our team. She's a master multitasker and has an incredible ability to retain information, making her an invaluable asset to all of her colleagues here at OLCC. Mindy's high standards of customer service to our contracted agents are evident every day, and she's truly the backbone of our team. She's working the phone lines all morning before the meeting here, so thank you for all you do, Mindy. Before taking on the role of technician on the retail team, Randy worked in corporate retail and served as a district manager for 26 years. He's a wealth of historical knowledge and is deeply dedicated to his work. Randy helps maintain liquor store operational standards, trains new team members, and provides policy guidance to us. He is our connection to the agency's past, helping the retail team make more informed decisions for the future as we continue to modernize how we do business here at OLCC. Next slide, please. So now we'll move on to our districts. We're going to go top to bottom. I'm going to give an overview for the DMs that aren't able to join us today. Just want to say first that the geography of Oregon is remarkably diverse, from the rugged coastline through the towering evergreen forests, across the breadbasket of the Willamette Valley, over the spine of the Cascade Mountains, and into the vast high desert. Our contracted liquor agents and stores are just as unique and distinctive as the places they serve. We'd like to take you on a brief tour of our districts, starting with Eastern Oregon. Brian Fleming couldn't join us today, but he's been with the agency since 2009 and brings 2 decades of corporate grocery retail experience to our team. District 1 includes 42 stores in 13 counties, covering about 44,400 square miles. It serves roughly 220,000 people, making up approximately 5.3% of the state's population, while spanning 45% of the state's total land area. District 1 sales volume for calendar year 2025 was around $41.1 million. And store 1010 Hermiston ranked #1 in total sales for the district at $5.39 million, ranking 35th overall in all of our liquor stores. A few fun facts to share about District 1. You actually have to leave the state and drive into Idaho to access store 1136 Jordan Valley, which is about a 2-hour drive from Ontario. Store 1082 Joseph's, it's just 3 miles from the Wallowa Lake Tram, which is the steepest vertical lift gondola in North America, rising an impressive 3,700 feet and offering panoramic views of the Alps of Oregon. And Store 1204 Huntington is the gateway to the Snake River. Anglers come to this town in search of catfish, crappie, and cognac. The store sells a surprisingly large share of the state's total cognac sales. And now we'll move on to Dave Owens and District 2.
Thank you, Commissioners. To start, I have 55 stores, so I'm out of the Medford field office. And I have the most diverse district. I go from the coast, and I have been on the coast one week and the high desert the next week, through the Cascades. So I cover the entire 1/3 of Southern Oregon. And I have 55 stores. It just works out perfectly in the driving time. Next, and I am using some notes here. There's some facts up there. My largest store, of course, downtown Grants Pass at 6.2 million. I do have 7 distillery retail outlets. But what I wanted to just give you 1 minute is you're used to hearing about all the big stores, the $1 million stores, the $6 million stores. I wanted to talk just 1 minute about our smallest store in Oregon. And that would be Fields, Oregon. So if you look at the map and you look at the bottom right side, that little dot, the only one in the county right there is Fields, Oregon. It is truly out in the middle of nowhere. Its closest community is the Burns Hines area at 2 hours one way just to get to the next community. 2 hours from Winnemucca, about 2.5 to Boise, and 2.5 left to Lakeview. So it is our smallest volume store. It sells roughly $15,000 a year. The Portland PDX, they do that on a Friday. Literally. But she stocks 75 different items for the locals. It's a vast area. Just a few fun facts. Within a mile radius, there are 8 people that live there. The whole postal code is 120 people. This is vast. The biggest ranches in Oregon are in that county. That county is the 10th largest county in the United States, including Alaska. It's bigger than 6 northeastern states in this country. It is truly, the map doesn't show how big those counties actually are, but there's only 7,500 people there in the whole county. Fun fact, there are 14 cows to every 1 human being. Huge ranches, very few people. So I just, I want to thank you for having us and this opportunity. I know that you hear about the big stores, but we do have everything in between that serve the people of Oregon in a very, very good way. They love the OLCC out there when I visit about twice a year. So, thank you.
So is that how often? Thank you very much. That's very interesting. So you have 55 stores. How do you get to all of them, or how often are you able to?
The larger stores about once a quarter, around 2 to 3 months. The smaller stores, once every 4 months or so. As you can see, there's natural highways that I loop.
Yeah.
So I'm never out and back. I'm never backtracking. Right. But Fields is the only one that I actually have to backtrack. I have to stay the night in Lakeview and then go out there because it's 2.5 hours. I do their audit. The audit team doesn't go to Fields. I do the audit with the agent. We do it ourselves. I turn that paperwork into the auditors and they take that as what it is. Yeah.
So how do they make a living? Have they got another store there? What do they?
It was established in 1881 as a stagecoach, and the original building is still there. It's a brick, kind of a lava rock and concrete brick building. But it was a stagecoach stop. And so now it's a little restaurant, maybe 12 seat. It's not big. A 2-room small hotel. There's a lot of bird watching and stuff out in that area. and of course, hunting, bighorn sheep, I mean, that type of hunting. It's close to the Alvord Desert. They're the closest supply for the Alvord Desert, which they race cars on. It's like the Salt Flats.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of the Alvord Desert. They've
Yes.
set land speed records up there. So they cater some of those events, sometimes, and filmmakers that use the high desert. But yeah, it's just kind of a gas station. I was out there doing the audit a month ago or so, and fuel, just for fun, is about $5 around here. It was $7.50 a gallon, and diesel was $8.50.
Wow.
Because they have to pay a surcharge for everything that's delivered out there.
Yeah.
But they go to either Boise or Bend once a month to get their supply. Bend's 4.5 hours one way.
Thank you.
So just some fun information for you guys
That's good.
of some of the little ones. And they matter. They matter. They serve the public.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. That's good.
Thanks, Dave. So with District 3, we're heading back to the metro area. Brian Aker is the DM and has been with OLCC for 14 years. Before joining the agency, Brian spent several years in the private sector and corporate retail roles, including owning a sporting goods store. District 3 is comprised of 49 stores across 6 counties. It covers the North Coast from Astoria to Tillamook, with 10 stores generating about $20 million. Extends to the Columbia River to Hood River with 5 border stores, bringing in $23 million, and includes part of the Portland Metro Tri-County area. District 3 has the largest number of distillery retail outlets in the state with 24 locations. Most of those are in the metro area along what is known as the Distillery Row. Also at the Portland International Airport and a few coastal locations as well within District 3. Contracted agents have led the way in promoting Oregon-made spirits, and many liquor stores feature Oregon-made products as the lead-in for each category to help support our small local Oregon businesses. And one fun fact from District 3, Hood River is home to Oregon's first post-prohibition distillery, Hood River Distillers, founded in 1934. And next slide, we have Grant Hackworth. Grant joined OLCC in 2019 as a temporary distribution worker in our warehouse on swing shift. Within 7 months, he was hired as a permanent liquor distribution worker 1, later promoted to LDW 2, and by April of 2020, he became the swing shift closing lead. After 2 years as a lead worker, Grant accepted a position as the district manager for Eastern Oregon in 2022, spending 2.5 years in Pendleton before he accepted his current position in this District 4. The district spans beach towns from Pacific City to Wallport and metro areas from Canby to Corvallis, serving a wide range of bars and restaurants along both the Central Coast and the I-5 corridor. It includes Spirit Mountain and Chinook Winds casinos, Oregon State University, many iconic outdoor recreation areas such as Detroit Lake, Silver Falls State Park, Cape Kiwanda, and Devil's Punch Bowl. District 4 includes 41 stores in 8 counties. Fun fact from Grant, located in Polk County, the city of Monmouth, was the last dry town on the West Coast, prohibiting the sale of beer and wine until 2002 and distilled spirits until 2010. And then we're moving on to Monica Rorschach in District 5.
Good morning. Excuse me. I'm Monica Rorschach, District 5. I have been in my position since 2022. I'm the newest district manager in the group. I've got 48 liquor stores in my district and 20 distillery retail outlets. My district total sales volume is just over $207 million. I actually have the highest sales volume for licensee sales in my district. We do just over $60 million in licensee sales, which is pretty incredible. And it's actually pretty important to me that we have the opportunity to actually support a lot of local businesses in that, doing those licensee sales. That's a lot of local businesses we support in that. That's a lot of business we do. Sorry, excuse me, Portland Uptown, store 1185 is actually the store in my district that does the most licensee sales in my district. They're also the top volume store in my district. They do just over $16.1 million a year, which is pretty incredible. For consumer sales in my district, we do just over $147 million, which is huge.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Wow.
I am not, usually in the hot seat up here. I usually get to support the folks who are in the hot seat. So this is new to me. So bear with me today. I have a really diverse district. I've got everything from really kind of busy metro stores to really small pocket neighborhood stores that are serving just, little communities, and also really recreational stores like Timberline Lodge, up in Government Camp, those seasonal, seasonal stores that have, the skiers coming up and, the seasonal business coming through, South Waterfront being one of those pocket neighborhood stores. I see just a very diverse business in my district. So it's been very fun to see that in my district. And so that's, it's been very fun in my time, in my position, excuse me. Wanted to note that because of the fact that I have so much licensee business in my district, that I've got a lot of licensees that I wanted to talk about. I've got Timberline Lodge, like I noted. I've also got Providence Park. I've also got Oregon Zoo, Moda Center, Portland City Grill, the Ritz-Carlton, Portland Airport. We get to serve the Pickles, Bangers, excuse me, sorry, my nerves are getting to me. It's just, it is really important to me that we get to serve the community. And also it's really important to me that as a district manager that I get to support a lot of small business owners, which is what our agents are. It's not just small businesses, they're also family businesses. The agents that come to us for support are, they are small business owners, they are family business owners. When I walk into a store, I have the opportunity to support them and help them grow their businesses. I go into a store, they're asking us for support. I'm giving them the support and the opportunity to grow their business. And, that is something that really, that's important to me. It's important to the community that we are helping them grow, and also having the opportunity to help them sell responsibly, and hopefully, be in the community for a long time. And, it's a very big passion of mine, and, I'm glad to be in my role and hopefully be here for a long time. So
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
It's one of the great things we get to do for the state is to
Absolutely.
help those small businesses.
Yeah.
We want to
And-
continue to do that. So thank you for all
Yeah,
that.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. You did fine. Forgot
I
to-
didn't do fine. The notes got me, sorry. I had notes and I just went off the rails, so.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
So am I. Moving on to District 6, James McKibidowski.
Well, I didn't write that note, but what Monica just said about the passion of working with the agents is something I think we all share, and it is a real fun part of being a district manager. So I'm glad she brought that up. I'm James McKibidowski. I have District 6, which I told you about. I have 51 stores. I have 23 distillery outlets. Total sales in calendar year 2025 was 147 million. My top selling store is 1150 Bend East, which Dennis, I'm sure you're aware of. And then just a quick history. District 6 was created during the retail expansion period about 9 years ago. Contains 51 stores spread over 8 counties. In the 8.5 years since its creation, District 6 has added 7 new stores. Most of those were all retail expansion stores. Also handled 9 relocations. The store actually relocated to a brand new location. and 6-store expansion. So it's a store that actually took over an adjacent space or expanded out and got bigger. In that time, we've also trained 26 new agents. So appeared before the commission 26 times to present new agents. And I don't have any super fun facts, but I have 8 coast stores, 24 valley stores, and 19 mountain stores. So also cover a pretty good territory.
Well, I do know Bend East, and also I saw a picture of Spud from
Yeah.
Sisters on the cover here, my dear friend. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, James. So moving on, how are liquor stores opened? In Oregon, our goal is to balance market access with public health. And as we previously mentioned a couple times, we have currently 286 stores, which equals roughly about 1 store for every 15,000 residents in our state. Opportunities for stores typically arise when an agent either retires or resigns, or due to population growth, shifting demographics, consumer demand. James mentioned retail expansion. Our population has hovered around 4.25 million for the last 5 years or so. And retail expansion occurred last in 2015 and won't be up for consideration until the next biennium. Next up in the process, we work with the communications team to do advertising, to make sure there's awareness of our store opportunities. The listing is on our OLCC website. We send multiple messages out via Gov Delivery notifications. And then also they work on several social media platforms, including LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Next slide, please.
That's every 15,000 people, except for Hardy, we got.
The cows come into play. All right, so now just gonna take a quick look at the knowledge, skills, and abilities required under Oregon Administrative Rule for the selection of a retail sales agent. Retail experience obviously it's very important. Agents need to understand inventory control, cash handling, accountability, and supervising staff. They should also have a solid grasp of general retail operations, business management, and strong customer service skills, since they're, working with the public. Financial capability is also needed. Applicants must provide documentation that shows they can cover the operating expenses of the liquor store. And then lastly, personal history that includes completing a criminal background check. Right. We'll walk through now how we select our contracted agents. First, as we mentioned, we do the advertisement opportunity for about 10 business days. After the advertising closes, Mindy processes all the applications. We have always a 4-person scoring team within retail services, usually me and then 3 different district managers. We score applications. The top candidates go on to the interview round, and then our finalists present before you all at the commission meeting. From the time an agent resigns to the time of appointment is roughly around 120 days. During the transition, our office coordinator, Mindy, and our district managers work closely to ensure smooth transitions. Outgoing agent is also required to provide 2 weeks of in-store training for the incoming agent. All right, next slide. And so, speaking to the future, in addition to our everyday work that we've spoken to so far, the majority of our resources on our team are currently focused on what the future state of our business operations will look like as we support the distilled spirits supply chain project, New Canby warehouse, the warehouse management system, enterprise resource system, as well as our new agent portal will streamline our work significantly and allow us to better serve not only our contracted liquor agents, but all Oregonians. Digitally streamlining our business processes will create less paper, fewer spreadsheets, less trackers that Mindy works with on a daily basis. So we can spend more time focusing on supporting small business and the growing market. Future state, our team looks forward to offering more education support category management, product knowledge, and merchandising for our contracted liquor agents. Shopping habits are always evolving, and understanding shopper behavior is crucial to any store's success. Every location is unique. Some stores might be driving traffic by offering, varied selection. Another store, too many SKUs might be causing like option paralysis. So helping agents find that sweet spot with their individual community demographics, I think our team can be very impactful in that regard. And lastly, even more important than supporting our agents is with compliance and responsible sales. Truly, I think that's, the focus of our work. That'll continue to be our focus. As we honor the mission of all the service we do here at OLCC. And I'd just like to thank my team for all their dedication and passion to customer service. And we thank you for your time today, commissioners, and your support of our program.
Chair, thank you. Just one quick question about the transition between outgoing agent and the new agent. The outgoing agent's required to provide 2 weeks of transition training. How do we enforce that? Can someone who's outgoing just say, I'm out, thank you very much? How do we enforce that aspect of the process?
Yeah. With the buyout amount, yeah, James?
Yeah, their buyout, they get a buyout amount, which is 3 or 4% of their last 5 years average sales. And that is contingent upon partially contingent upon their training.
And have you,
It's,
Well, I was just gonna say, as a side note, the incoming can waive the 2 weeks. If we get a lot of them are retailers, and they just need to be showed that particular POS system and maybe be introduced to the bars and restaurants. But, and then we do a whole day's training with them on, with financial services stuff on their reporting, inventory control. So a lot of them will waive the 2 weeks. It's
So-
down to a day or two.
incoming can waive, but outgoing cannot waive?
Correct.
Okay. And the way that we enforce is with the buyout contingency?
They're also, part of their agent agreement is they are required to give that training to the incoming agent. It's also part of their, to receive their agent buyout, they are on the hook to give that training to the incoming agent.
Have we ever had the situation come up where we would
I
have an issue with that contingency?
not yet, and they're usually fairly popular. We don't have that many sort of disgruntled agents leaving. Most of them are happy to go into retirement, and they usually, it's usually a pretty smooth transition. So, but, having that amount of money on the hook is usually a good incentive.
Thank you.
Allison, as part of the engagement that you guys have with the different agents, given that I think part of the mission of OLCC is promotion of kind of Oregon products,
Mhm.
is there any kind of preference or encouragement given to the different agents to prioritize or push kind of Oregon specific products? Or are you kind of, geography agnostic as far as how, about how you approach that? Is there, I have no idea because I'm kind of on the other end.
Yeah.
Of the process.
I would say equal opportunity by brand. Yeah.
So it's more about just sales and growing sales agnostic to the product itself. Because it could be very regional, like you're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
some rural areas, I imagine, are less interested in certain things than
Yeah.
very urban areas. Okay.
And the agent, each particular store, they can bring in whatever specific items that they want to have in their store.
Right.
So, yeah.
There's no Oregon bias.
Well, not from us, but the agents do. I mean, it serves them if there's a local distillery to have sort of a brand to sell that's local, for people
Right.
visiting and so forth. So usually they make good business decisions.
Thanks.
A couple slides up, there was it showed there was like 800,000 page views for prospective applicants or those applications. Can you guys talk a little bit about what you do to develop potential applicants and how do you work with them?
we don't engage in any, like specific outreach, you know, we try to have like an unbiased, you know, equitable access. I will say that we see several people applying for the stores, you know, for different appointments. There's certainly a population of people who are passionate about becoming liquor agents. And so, you know, through that, you know, have experience with going through our application process, our interview process and things like that.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
That's,
Yeah.
I was also gonna say, as a state agency, we kind of remain a little neutral. It's a little different than being in the private sector and trying to recruit
sure.
people because of the nature of our agency.
Thank you.
But I do know, can I add something, Commissioner? When people apply, this whole team absolutely will handhold them through the process, encourage them to apply, like Allison said. So those that are looking have a ton of support to help them through our process. We're very hands-on. This division is very hands-on, even with people that just call up and inquire. How do you open a liquor store? How do you get in? You know, how do you buy one? You know, I know I take calls all the time and encourage them and walk them through that process because there's a lot of layers to it.
Sure.
We do it as a whole team. We're very hands-on.
Yeah.
And encouraging.
Thank you.
And that doesn't contradict what I said. Once
Exactly.
people initiate a contact with us, then yeah, we're right there for them.
Yeah. well,
And
thank
Mindy.
you.
Fields a lot of phone calls and emails every time, you know, we have a store coming. What it as well.
Lots of encouragement to those to apply.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else, commissioners? That was excellent. I so appreciate the kind of seemingly partnership you have in helping people through this thing. Because before I got here, I viewed this as an enforcement agency. It was not what we are as partners in helping these businesses be successful. I think, Monica, I think you put it very well. It was, you guys are enjoying the relationships you have out there and helping these people be successful. So I'm glad you're the face of us out there in the field. It's obvious. It's good stuff. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa, welcome. Good morning.
Commissioners, Chair Doherty. For the record, my name is Lisa Bertram, the Sales Service Director for the OLCC. I do want to start by saying thank you to the retail services team. It's great to see the district managers. They're always out in the field. So to get them together is pretty cool. So thank you to that team. It's good to have distilled spirits all together. So with that, I'll give a presentation on the Metal Art Distribution Center. We do have out at the site now, if you go by it today, it looks like an actual building. All the construction is down. So the trailers have been demobilized. We had 2 of these cameras set up on site. So the south camera takes a picture of the front of the building, and the north camera was taking pictures of the back of the building. Want to go to the next one? I don't know if this will play, but this is a time lapse of the back side of the building as it was being built, and it's pretty quick. So you can see this is basically where the trucks come around to the back of the building. You'll start seeing the tilt panels being built on site. Those are happening now. And then eventually we'll get our giant crane up in here, and then the crane will start actually tilting those panels up. So the panels go up. Once the panels are up, it's pretty quick. So you can see they're putting in the asphalt for the back. The right side is really the dock side. Eventually they took this camera down to focus on the front of the building. So this is the kind of the last shot of the back of the building. If you go to the next one, next one is then from the other camera, which shows the front of the building. I think you can click. That guy should go, yeah. So this is the front of the building. Kind of the same time lapse. This one shows really well, like those slabs that are on the ground now. Those are the wrap slabs that they use to put the tilt panels on. This has a really good picture of all the tilt panels being built. That's what's happening now. And that giant crane again comes and those panels went up so quickly. And then the next part you'll see is where they start building the office space in the front. And that went on pretty quickly too, as soon as the front facade got on. And everything got dried in, that's when the roof got on, so. This happens pretty quick too.
Is that I never asked, are those tension panels, are those PT panels, or are those just reinforced concrete panels?
Just reinforced concrete,
Okay.
yeah, every bar, and they're pretty thick, I don't know how thick they are, but they're pretty thick. And then we also have a shear wall in the middle of the building inside, to stabilize, because it's such a big space. This is what it looks like today.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
You're good. So what's going on in Canby, I'll talk really briefly about some of the finishes. All the finish work is happening now. So if you think about the final place, painting, things like that. I'll talk a little bit about our PIC mods and our MHS layout. That's happening now. I'll touch on the art installation process and then the schedule and the budget at the end. So as far as finishes, really all the safety rails are being painted, our bollards. So this is really to protect staff. We have these safety rails throughout the building. In the right-hand picture, you can see those posts. Those are our bollards that's protecting all of our equipment. So we do have, forklifts that are running around this area. All the equipment is protected as well as all the staff. This is our dock office. So right now, as I said, the trailers have been demobilized. So Jay Dunn is still on site though to build our material handling system. So they actually moved from the front of the trailers into this dock office. So this is a kind of our command center now for all of the work that's being done on site. Our kitchen and employee restrooms, this again, just finishing touches on the kitchen. We still need to get the floors done. So they're concrete floors, but they'll have a finish on them. So we're working on those things now. Just kind of getting these spaces ready to go. All of our signage is also being installed. I was out at the site yesterday and there are signs everywhere, which is great to see. So our service bay all have signs, all our docks have signs, and then all of our entrances show if they're a public entrance or a driver entrance, those all have signs as well. And then our fine landscape and site elements are in place. We have on the left, our electrical vehicle charging stations are on site. Those are charge point stations. We have two in the main lot for visitors to utilize their pay through charge point. Then all the landscaping is going in now. Most of the site has irrigation in it. So there are some places we'll have to water, but most of it is maintained on its own. This is the MHS design. So this is what's being built right now. So the building itself is pretty much done, but the MHS the material handling system is being built now. So it's a conveyor sorting system. It's future expandable. We have our repack for single bottles. That's going to be that bottle room. If you see kind of in the middle of the picture. So the bottle room is where we pick single bottles. That'll be underneath the equipment platform where the conveyance is. We'll have racking and shelving for all of our loose bottles. And then we have our PIC mods, PIC mod 1 and PIC mod 2. Those are actually stacked conveyor lines. So PIC mod 1 is a 3 high. So there's 3 conveyors stacked on top of each other with full pallets and with case carton picking. And then PIC mod 2 is 2 high. PIC mod 2, we can then put another conveyor on top of PIC mod 2 if we need to in the future. So it'll be built out in such a way we just essentially stick another one on top. And then beyond that, there's another space to the north of PIC mod 2 where we could put in like a future dispenser or some other machinery if we needed to. So it's all expandable. So PIC mods are arriving on site now. So those PIC mods and some of the racking is being delivered. This is just one of the loads. This is 5 truckloads of materials that are arriving on site. It's all being staged in the PIC mod area today. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Just a lot of equipment's being delivered. We have more deliveries coming this week. And it'll continue into next week, and then all the materials for those PIC mods and some of the pushback racking will be on site and is being assembled right now. As far as our art, if you just hit the next button, it should, yeah. So we'll have a big sculpture. I kind of talked a little bit about this before, but I have some updates. So we have a sculpture that's going in our front courtyard. That's about 50% complete. We have 2 art screens that are going around the cemetery. So we do have that Zora Lutheran Cemetery on site that we don't own. So we're putting an art screen around it to kind of contain it. And then we'll have one around our employee patio as well. That's the same artist that's doing that. And then our Anhinga sculpture from the front pond. The pond is drained right now. So we're trying to figure out how to get that sculpture from here to this site. And it'll be kind of in the front part of our parking lot there. And then our permanent collection throughout the building, we have the Art Commission has a collection here. So we'll be moving some of those pieces to this site as well. So that'll start happening over the next few months. So these are the places where the art screen is going. On the left, you can kind of see the cemetery in the background. It has that construction fence around it still. That's actually down today. And then that courtyard concrete in the front is where the circular sculpture is going. And then the screen around the employee patio will contain this entire patio and be a secure area for our staff on their breaks. This is what the courtyard sculpture looks like today. It's got benches on the inside. You can actually walk into it and sit down. The pictures on the right are the artists actually putting these things together. So it'll be more of a blue-green. Those are all fused glass pieces. And then we'll have a metal rod running through them to connect into the sculpture. And then the metal pieces are all steel that are meant to rust and kind of look like a copper still kind of vibe. But this is the artist as she's finishing these pieces. And then this is just an artist rendering of that art screen. This is the one that's going around the employee break room, but it'll be a similar one that will go around the cemetery. That picture on the right is a rendering of it around that employee area. So lots of landscape there. And then this will be kind of the glass pieces of this will be above. And they're using like flora and fauna of Oregon in there. So there'll be a lot of different pieces within that sculpture. So those are pretty cool. This is the first one we've gotten. We'll get another one about the cemetery a little bit later on. As far as our schedule, so we are in this Q2 2026 right now. We're in our 30-day runtime. The 30-day runtime is actually ending next week. We've had great success in our 30-day runtime. That's where we run all of our systems for 30 days. So they have to run everything to make sure it's going to work. If there's any interruptions, the 30-day runtime has to restart. So as of right now, our systems are great in the building. Fire, light, safety, security, fire suppression is on. All of those things are totally operable. We also have key card entries and the security system is on. And we have our new fire marshal contract with the fire people. So all of that is running now. Once we get done with that 30-day runtime, we'll kind of move into the next stage, which is Q3. So that's where the MHS is being installed. We'll test that. And then essentially at that point, we'll have our substantial completion of the building. In Q4, we'll then do that. We'll do orders here through our current facility, but then we'll start shipping product to Canby so we can actually put that on the conveyor and test it through the system to make sure it works. And then get into that final Q1 of next year where we go live in Canby. This is our budget. So the total budget right now is 145 million. That's been our GMP, which is our guaranteed maximum price. We do monitor the budget say daily, but it feels daily. So anytime something comes up, we do have programmatic contingencies built into this. We have owner costs, our soft costs. So our total construction budget is about 89.7 million. That's what the 1% R is built off of. We then have our material handling system of 24 million. That's we've expended all of that at this point as far as on paper. So as those materials show up, those invoices become due. We got to 23.9 million on the material handling system. So we did use all of that money. But we also have, like I said, we have some contingencies built in to make sure that we can get to the end of this project. And that's it. So the fun fact here is that based on the average flight speed of the Western Metal Lark, it would take the Lark 31 minutes to fly between the current operation and the front door at Canby, which is roughly the same amount of time it takes us to drive between the two facilities. So any questions?
Commissioners? Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Excellent, as
so
always.
much.
Appreciate it. Take right now. Yeah. So the commission will now go into executive session to consider legal advice related to contested cases pursuant to the following authorities. Records that are exempt by law from public inspection pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, and to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed pursuant to authority of ORS 192.6602H. We'll be back. I don't hear anybody else. There you go. All right, we are back in session. Regarding contested case hearings, we will hear presentation of oral argument on exceptions to proposed order issued by the Office of Administrative Hearings. Arguments may be presented by staff, licensees, permittees, and applicants. And Commissioner Shuri, will you set the stage for this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is just to set the stage as to why we've gathered in the contested hearing today. The commission would like it. Well, first of all, the OLCC will present their argument first. We'll hear Respondents Council second, and then OLCC has a chance to offer a response. Something we've been thinking about to make this process more efficient and effective would be that when council is making argument, if you could refer the commission, please, to an exception or a finding of fact. And that way we can better understand what the argument relates to. And we would just thank you very much for appearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as I'm here to present the proposed final order for the commission. My name is Elijah Dell, Chair Doherty, commissioners. My honor to be here in front of you. My intention was to lay out initially, at least, a brief statement of the history of this case, where it comes from, the general facts, so that you can have an understanding of the issues at play in the matter. As we are making a proposed orders, there are only there's one matter for change that I would like to address at the end of kind of giving you an understanding of what's going on that we're proposing to change, and I'll get to that. It's just a simple wording change. And after that, Licensees Council, Mr. Dennis, who I see in a small screen, I believe is with us virtually, will be presenting his exceptions to the proposed order. And at that time, I would be able to respond. It's not my intent to make argument at this time, merely to propose the order, if that works with everyone's understanding. Okay. I will do my best to cite two specific facts. I did not have that thought in my head when I created my notes, so I can't say I have dog-eared everything. But I will generally try and give you a good idea. I will say the proposed order was drafted, if you have it available, with sections of facts clumped together in relation to violations. So hopefully that will help you navigate within them. And where I can, I will provide that context. I will say that this case started out as the result of a sale surrender. Former licensee for this license was Jeremy Wheeler. He at the time had 3 licenses, and in a sale surrender agreement for each, agreed to surrender them or sell them, and I believe he did in fact sell them. The license at issue here is now known as LFC Farms LLC. Cindy Standish is the only member, the licensee for the producer license that was formerly held by Jeremy Wheeler. The other 2 at issue were retailers. In total, Jeremy Wheeler ended up with 4 Category 1 violations, 5 Category 1 violations, 4 Category 2 violations, and 14 Category 3 violations. Of those, 2 Category 1 violations were attributed specifically to the license Heavy Lids, the producer license at issue today, and 1 Category 2 violation. He was deemed by the commission to have a poor record of compliance. He is also the owner of the real property upon which this license is located. As such, he has a financial interest in the license. That financial interest in the license, combined with him having a poor record of compliance, created a denial basis for the commission in the issuance of a new license to the licensee, in this case, Cindy Standish and LFC Farms LLC. That denial basis was overcome by the acceptance of 3 restrictions on the license. Those three restrictions generally were, and we can pick out the specific language if you need it, were that one, Jeremy Wheeler not engage in the operation or management of the business, that he not act as an employee, agent, or otherwise a representative of the business, and three, that he not physically be on the licensed premises. So with those three restrictions agreed to in a settlement agreement in 2021, the OLCC issued a license to LFC Farms LLC. The case then begins in 2023 when inspectors get a complaint about just the ongoing problems that are occurring at, I will call it Heavy Lids, LFC Farms LLC doing business as Heavy Lids. Heavy Lids is a lot easier to say, so if you'll bear with me, I'll just say that. So at Heavy Lids, inspectors went to visit and they discovered what could generously be called a mess. 422 totes of marijuana discovered in January of 2023 from the harvest of October 2022. The marijuana was untracked. No one knew what it came from. Nothing was able to be matched up. Efforts were made to kind of match what was going on to the plants it came from, the lots it came from, the specific. Nothing was able to work. Can experts was brought in. It became an unsolvable mess. A later tip for the crops that were growing for that grow period of now what is happening of the summer of 2023 came in that there was any unlawful taking of water from a nearby creek, Little Falls Creek. Inspectors then went out to investigate that matter. And in doing so, they requested video surveillance. And they were requesting it in August 2023, and they were requesting the previous 90 days. Some of the video showed up. I would even say most of the video showed up, but sections of the video for specific cameras did not show up. Those would be date ranges from 7/21 to 8/18 and 7/22 to 8/18 for two separate cameras. That video just was never provided. Also, it should be noted that is the closest in time video, not the furthest in time video from the request. Efforts were made to follow up, and the OLCC let the licensee know that the video was not presented. It never came through. The video that did show up, however, did show that employees of Heavy Lids were going to the local creek, Little Falls Creek, and bringing back water and using it for irrigation purposes. This was an unlawful taking of water because they did not have the irrigation rights to the Little Fall Creek. It also showed Jeremy Wheeler at one point actually walking onto the licensed premises. Inspectors began gathering more evidence. They spoke to former employee Nicholas Houston. Nicholas Houston testified in the hearing. And what was found out is that Jeremy Wheeler was running the day-to-day operation of Heavy Lids. Initially, it was Bill Wheeler, his father. If I didn't already say, Bill Wheeler is Jeremy Wheeler's father. Cindy Standish is Jeremy Wheeler's mother. So he sold the license to his mother. Initially, it was Bill Wheeler. At some point, Jeremy Wheeler took over. At the point at which Nick Houston was hired, Bill Wheeler had stepped back and he was getting his daily instruction from Jeremy Wheeler. This included the instruction to use the Little Fall Creek as a source of water to irrigate the growing crops. We'll go with inspectors spoke to Houston at the time, initially on premises. He lied about ever taking water from Little Fall Creek. Later admission, he was told to lie and say if there ever were questions about water, to say it was used for fire suppression, that instruction came from Jeremy Wheeler himself. Inspectors also, in investigating, called up Jim Cates, who is the owner and operator of Federal Security, who does the video surveillance work for Heavy Lids. He was called in to testify at the hearing, and according to Cates' testimony, Jeremy Wheeler requested and received video surveillance from Heavy Lid security system. Mr. Cates stated on the record that he believed Jeremy Wheeler to be what he called a responsible party, which is someone who is authorized by the licensee to retrieve video. He would not release video otherwise, and he believed it was either Bill Wheeler or Cindy Standish who gave that authorization. And so that became the factual basis for the violations themselves. The restriction violations at issue in this case were violations numbers 1, 2, and 3. And the first one was that Jeremy Wheeler, the licensee allowed Jeremy Wheeler to engage in the operation or management of the business. And that did so by directing employees, and terminating employees. Mr. Houston testified that he was actually terminated by Jeremy Wheeler, in part for speaking to the OLCC. With that, that violation 1 is the directing of employees and terminating Houston, engaging the operation or management. Violation 2 was he acted as an agent or representative of the business by engaging with Federal Security and having video, surveillance video pulled at his request. And violation number 3 is that he actually set foot on the licensed premises, which video surveillance showed. Cindy Standish admitted. The video would show Jeremy Wheeler walk up and adjust the water tanks that were on the premises. Violation number 4 is the not keeping surveillance videos or maintaining surveillance videos for a minimum of 90 days. As mentioned, the request went out in August 18th, and recent video surveillance footage from several cameras was not made and provided to the OLCC. And so that did not show up. Violation number 5 is that the licensee did not track in the cannabis tracking system the activities that fully account for the inventory on the licensed premises. And as I stated, the evidence at the hearing was that 422 totes of marijuana and basically no idea what was where, and no ability to match anything with its start or finish or where it went in any of the process. Nothing that was close to the CLFC tracking that we require as part of our general activities. And then violation 6 was the unlawful use of the water, which is just, it is not allowed, not permitted, it is unlawful to take water from a creek without it being permitted by the water department. They did not have rights to Little Fall Creek. And so that was a violation of its own. For these violations, the first 3, the restriction violations, are category 1 violations with a sentence of cancellation as the proposed penalty. To get to cancellation, the OLCC is required to prove, in this instance, a significant risk to public health and safety. There exists a rule on record, that is OAR 845-025-8590 sub 2 sub A, which says that if you're exercising license privileges in violation of a restriction, it is a significant risk to public health and safety. That is a rule adopted by the commission, specifically basically saying, if you violate your restrictions in the operation of your business, that is a significant risk to public health and safety. It makes sense considering it was a denial basis for the license in its inception. And so that was adopted by rule. Subsequent case law on that, case precedent on that matter was done in CJ Operator. CJ Operator was in July of 2024. A final order was issued that upheld that same precedent, that a violation of a restriction on a marijuana license, the rule satisfied that it was a significant risk to public health and safety and upheld the basis of the cancellation. So all of that having been said, there is one change that we would make to the proposed order, and that is in finding of fact number 6, to remove the language that the denial basis on the original license for Little Falls Creek LLC was based on the familial relation to Jeremy Wheeler, to strike that language. In actuality, the denial basis was based on the financial interest. It didn't matter that they're mother and son, it mattered that he was the owner of the real property, the landlord who would benefit from the license. And so that created the financial interest, and that created the denial basis. That said, that is a matter of the issue of the issuance of the license. And so not a matter that needs to be written up. We're just gonna strike the language that is inaccurate. At this time, I believe Mr. Dennis would present his exceptions, unless there are any questions about what I've gone through to give you kind of a general touchstone for the case.
Commissioners? Any questions? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Dennis?
Good morning, Chair Doherty and members of the commission. My name is John Dennis, and I represent the licensee, LFC Farms LLC. We have filed numerous exceptions to the findings of fact and how those may or may not be supported by the factual record. It's not my intention to go through those in detail today, other than just by referring to those disputes, because we believe that the written exceptions fairly adequately address those disagreements over the record. What I want to focus on today is really more around what is a fairly basic question of a statutory interpretation of ORS 475C.265 sub 3 sub A, which is a statute that limits the ability of the commission to revoke or cancel a license. And it limits that ability to cancel the license for, quote, only when the conduct poses a significant risk to public health and safety, unquote. And the conduct at issue in this case, as Mr. Nadell had described, there are 6 alleged violations. 3 of those violations are Category 1 violations, which involve the activities by Jeremy Wheeler, or alleged conduct by Jeremy Wheeler, and specifically the sole owner of the licensee's operation, Cindy Standish, allowing, in the words of the amended notice, Jeremy Wheeler to take part in the operations of the business. The particular allegations are that Ms. Standish allowed Jeremy Wheeler to, quote, make employee payment decisions, direct employees in the performance of their work, manage harvests, and terminate an employee. They include that Mr. Wheeler was allowed to either request new security cameras being added to the licensed premises, or that surveillance footage be extracted around the licensed premises. And thirdly, that Mr. Wheeler came onto the licensed premises in order to check the levels in a water tank. The other remaining three allegations are not Category 1 violations, and there has not been any allegation in the proposed notice or otherwise in the course of the proceedings that those violations amounted to or posed any significant risk to public health and safety. And so we do not believe that those remaining allegations should be relevant to the question of license cancellation. It's worth noting that in the original notice of contested case, that the commission failed to allege any risk to public health and safety that could be potentially derived from the allegations of the notice. And when the commission issued an amended notice, it did add a section that addressed this issue. In the ways that these issues were framed in the amended notice, they say that licensees, quote, failure to abide by license restrictions demonstrates licensees' inability or unwillingness to align their conduct with the restrictions that the commission determined were necessary to ensure public health and safety when the license was issued. And then it further goes on to say that licensee, quote, substituted its own judgment and authority over the powers and duties granted to the commission, unquote. So that is the stated theory of public health and safety risks that really drive the commission's ultimate determination in this case, is whether the conduct as described in the amended notice satisfies the statutory requirement that says that any license cancellation has to be for those reasons, meaning significant public health and safety risk. So the question then becomes interpreting what is a significant public health and safety risk and whether this conduct reaches that level. The commission's theory throughout these proceedings has simply been, as it has been announced here, to cite to the rule that Mr. Nidell cited earlier, OAR 845-025-8590, sub 2 sub A, which says that a significant public health and safety risk includes but is not limited to exercising privileges in violation of license restrictions. So that's the theory, is that any license restriction is a per se public health and safety risk. So in the delegation of authority for the commission to adopt rules around this, there's a question of to what extent the commission can adopt rules and then enforce those rules. And when a reviewing court would be evaluating the scope of delegation and to what extent they are allowed to defer to agencies' interpretations of their own rules or of statute, there's essentially three different standards for that review. There are, the standard is basically determined on what type of term it is. So there's three different categories of terms, and each term has its own set of scrutiny that it gets. The first category is terms of precise meaning. These are terms such as 18 years of age, 72 hours, or Lane County, Oregon. They're fairly precise. There's not really much ambiguity about what they mean. The second class of terms is what are called inexact terms, which express legislative policy choices, but require agency interpretation of those choices. And then the third category is delegative terms, which express non-completed legislation, which the agency is delegated authority to complete. So in this case, the term significant risk to public health and safety, as used in the statute, that is an inexact term. It expresses a legislative policy choice, but requires agency interpretation of that choice. And when we are dealing with inexact terms, agency construction of those terms is entitled to no deference. And the case in point here is Belancha LLC v. Boley, which is found at 354 Oregon 676 from 2014. And essentially it says exactly that where these issues are, where a court is reviewing an agency's interpretation of an inexact term, it doesn't get deference. Instead, the statutory interpretive methodology that will be familiar to all lawyers in the room, found in State v. Gaines, is the methodology that we use to try to ascertain the meaning of a piece of legislation. And the site for the fact that inexact terms are interpreted based on State v. Gaines is Coos Waterkeeper v. Port of Coos Bay, Oregon, which is found at 363 OR 354, a case from 2018. The State v. Gaines methodology looks at basically 3 steps. The first is the text and the context of the statute. The second is the legislative history. And the third is any relevant maxims of construction. So in the licensee's reply to the closing argument, it provides a fairly thoroughgoing analysis of what a text and contextual reading of that statute would really require. And in summary, I won't repeat the whole analysis here, but the summary is that the commission may not cancel license under a plain language reading unless there's conduct that created, like there's two requirements. One, an important or meaningful possibility of loss, injury, disadvantage, or destruction that has or is likely to influence or affect, and then either A, something that promotes the well-being or flourishing or the curing of preventing of disease within a community, or B, the freedom or protection from harm, injury, or danger to the community at large. Now, part of the problem in this case is that these types of risks were not described by the agency in its notice, and they weren't argued by the agency in the contested hearing. So there hasn't been an adequate opportunity for a licensee to really respond and fight those. And as a matter of law, the agency cannot proceed on theories that haven't been articulated in its agency notice. The second level of analysis under State v. Gaines is one that looks at legislative history. And again, in the response or the licensee's response to the commission's closing argument, it also provides significant legislative history that could help cure any ambiguity in that statute. Stephen Marks, who was then executive director of the commission, when speaking about the bill, which was Senate Bill 408 from 2021, he said that, and this is a quote from him, and we set up rules where, everything, we had the hammer and everything was a nail in terms of violations. Cancellation was easy to get to, and we often had to put our orders on charges that said we're canceling your license. And then the other critical or dispositive piece of legislative history, or most illuminating piece of legislative history, came from Kim London when discussing the -3 amendments, which is where this particular provision was initially introduced into the Oregon legislature. She said, quote, "We want to limit those license cancelable offenses to those truly bad actors, those major violations, acts of diversion, selling to minors, serious risk to public health and safety," unquote. So we believe that this really creates a fairly clear picture that the agency, despite what its own rules might say, lacks the legal authority to cancel a license unless the particular conduct that is alleged in the notice rises to that level of a significant risk to public health and safety. So again, the alleged conduct in this case is that the licensee allowed a third person to be involved with some business decisions concerning harvest and employment and camera access and checking water levels of the tank, walking onto the licensed premises. There hasn't been allegations that were noticed or argued of how precisely those violations, if true, would create any kind of significant risk to public health and safety. In essence, the commission is resting on the rule that says, because we have a rule that says it's a public health and safety risk, it's a public health and safety risk, but that was the express purpose of SB 408 to reduce the number of types of conducts that could result in cancellation. So the agency's notice didn't really provide or articulate a legally supportable theory for how the alleged conduct would create such a risk. Its theory is simply that they broke rules, and because they broke rules, therefore there's just an inherent risk. But that is, that theory isn't legally cognizable in light of SB 408. So essentially, SB 408 creates then two categories of license restrictions that are most relevant to our purposes here. The first category is a license restriction that would create a significant risk to public health and safety. And the second is that there's a violation that would not create a significant public health and safety risk. And in this case, we don't really have notice and no clear articulation of how exactly the alleged conduct would create that. And what's of particular note with respect to the proposed order, when analyzing these arguments, ALJ Allen found, quote, the inclusion of license restrictions 1 through 3 consistent with the statutory purpose of OAR. I think that was a typo. I think he meant to say ORS 475C.005 to 475C.525, and that they appear designed to prevent the distribution of cannabis products to minors, avoid revenue from the sale of cannabis products from going into criminal enterprises, and prevent the diversion of cannabis to other states. Well, saying that the license restrictions are in furtherance of a permissible statutory purpose is not the same as saying that it actually created those risks in this case. And then on page 35 of the proposed order, ALJ Allen goes to some length to try to help the commission finally articulate a theory of public health and safety, where he says that, quote, or the violations, quote, create the risk of distributing cannabis to other states, criminal entities selling illicitly on the black market, and or to persons under the age of 21. As identified above, the prevention of each of these risks are stated purposes of the Oregon statutory scheme, regulating cannabis cultivation, processing, and distribution, and serve the statutory purpose of protecting the safety, health, and welfare and peace of the people of Oregon, unquote. So this legal theory created by the ALJ in the proposed order is legally insufficient of providing, carrying the day in this case, because that wasn't really the theory of the case that the commission has expounded at any point in these proceedings. It's the first time these potential risks have been articulated or announced, and they can't be the basis of cancellation. So in conclusion, license cancellation is the most extreme and severe sanction that the commission can impose. That commission's authority to impose that sanction was attenuated upon the passage of SB 408 back in 2021. A licensee does admit there have been some license violations and is willing to accept responsibility for those. And in particular, she admits that the metric violations and the tracking violations, but she denies any such claim that the violations would rise to the level of cancellation or permit cancellation by the commission. A whole host of other sanctions are available, and licensee is willing to submit to sanctions So long as those sanctions have as their goal bringing licensee into compliance with these rules, and licensee looks forward to working with the commission to try to bring her into uh, compliance. So thank you to the commission, and I would be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners? Questions? Okay,
Well, if there are no questions from Mr. Dennis,
no questions, all right.
So in responding to Mr. Dennis's exceptions, I'll start out by saying many of those arguments mentioned by Mr. Dennis were not actually in his proposed exceptions. They seem well beyond the scope of what was presented to the commission in his writings of the exceptions. And so I will say, in terms of the exceptions generally, the exceptions written about the facts quite often seem to be not objections to whether evidence was in the record, but are about the argument or extrapolations from those events that occurred at the hearing. And as such, it doesn't seem that the exception to the fact is the proper way of dealing with those exceptions, the numerical ones. Several of the objections on the factual basis are to evidence that was specifically admitted by the ALJ and was not objected to at the hearing. No specific objections about the statements that are now being raised were raised, and so the evidence is on the record. There is, and Mr. Dennis did allude to it in his discussion of the significant risk to public health and safety, the allowing argument raised by Mr. Dennis. And allowing is not directing. Allowing is not giving orders. It is permissive. In this case, we have months of time during which Jeremy Wheeler is essentially operating heavy lifts. Jeremy Wheeler is a person with a serious record of violations, which gave the commission an initial denial basis to reject the license if he was going to be involved in the ways he ended up being involved. To have a rule for that situation, and understand these are instances where the commission has proved allowance, not that, licensee Ms. Standish put up every roadblock she could and something happened anyway. It was proven on the record to be permissive allowance of these occurrences. And so the allowance of someone with a, let me make sure I get my term, a poor record of compliance, to participate in this way is very easily and logically able to be seen as a significant risk to public health and safety. This is someone who should not be involved in the industry, has been canceled as a licensee 3 times over, and was then intimately wrapped up in the events involving the license at issue here. And so there is a lot of evidence on the record for that. I don't want to get into anything beyond what is within my scope of purview as to statutory drafting powers and legal argument. That would be for your counsel to advise you upon. But I would say we have specific case precedent on this in the form of CJ Operator. We have, in fact, the evidence on record supporting exactly what was written in the notice, that licensee failed to follow the restrictions, permitted the violations to occur, and in doing so, thumbed her nose at the commission's standards for what was acceptable by the commission. What was permissible in the commission's accepted settlements about what allowed this license to exist. And that is a significant risk to public health and safety on its face. Yeah, I will leave it up to council to discuss what authority and rulemaking has. I will leave you with on page 40 of the order. In the proposed order, it says, as set forth above, on this record, OLCC also proved by a preponderance of the evidence that licensees' violations of license restrictions in this matter created a significant risk to public health and safety. And the ALJ's submission, summation of the evidence on the record. And OLCC staff supports that summation of the evidence. If there are any specific questions, I am happy to answer any of them.
Commissioners? All right, so we can deliberate. The commission will temporarily recess its public meeting to discuss the contested case and propose stipulated settlements agreements from contested cases under ORS 183.417 as authorized under ORS 192.690 sub 1. We will be done. Okay, we are back in session. Okay, we are prepared to make a final decision regarding heavy lids. I would entertain a motion on heavy lids.
Thank you, Chair. I move to approve the proposed order in the matter of marijuana producer license number 1015332 CF2D held by LFC Farms LLC and Cindy Standish, member doing business as Heavy Lids, with the change of the finding of fact number 6 to remove the language based on her familiar relation to Jeremy Wheeler.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Commissioner Badgett,
Yes.
Commissioner Chowry,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn. Yes. Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Commissioner Huffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. And lastly, I would entertain a motion on the 3 alcohol violation stipulated settlement agreements.
Chair,
Commissioner,
I move to ratify the 3 alcohol stipulated settlement agreements as proposed by staff.
Second.
moved and seconded. Discussion.
Commissioner Badgett,
Yes.
Commissioner Chowry.
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Huffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus.
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.